Everyone was waiting for Juliana Benson, the most qualified candidate. The clock ticked. The chairman cleared his throat. Then the door opened wider. A girl stepped inside wearing a torn gown. Her face was wet with tears, her hair rough and loose, as if she had run through the wind without stopping. She clutched a brown envelope to her chest like it was the only thing keeping her upright. "I am sorry," she said, her voice shaking. "My mother is dead." A sharp gasp rippled through the room. A woman at the back covered her mouth. One of the interviewers leaned forward abruptly. What do you mean?" he blurted out. "And who is your mother?" The girl swallowed hard. "My mother is Juliana Benson. She came for this job. Seat number 2 is her seat." With trembling fingers, she raised a paper. "She was knocked down last night. Teeth is her death certificate." The chairman's pen slipped from his hand and rolled across the table. At the back of the hall, a man in a simple navy suit stood slowly. Kingsley Anderson, the billionaire CEO of Kingsley. His eyes glistened as he looked at the empty chair, then at the girl standing beneath the harsh office lights, like a broken bird refusing to fall. "What is your name?" he asked gently. "Elliana, sir," she whispered. "Elliana Adam." The hall held its breath. Only hours earlier, the morning sun over Lagos had barely chased away the night's cool breeze. Elliana walked behind the small crowd leaving the cemetery, pressing her mother's faded scarf to her face. The red sand on the grave was still fresh. A pastor squeezed her hand and told her to have faith. His words felt light. The ground felt heavy. Juliana Benson had promised that everything would change after the interview. "We will not be poor forever," she had said the day before, laughing as she washed plates by their small window. "If Kingsley gives me this job, you'll go to university. You'll be a doctor. You'll help people. You'll help me." The day before, they had worked at a construction site carrying bricks. Juliana came home dusty and tired, but still rushed out to buy a second-hand office dress for the interview. She never saw the speeding car. Elliana watched the light leave her mother's eyes beneath the street. That morning, she carried the brown envelope. Juliana had prepared certificates, references, documents, and one new paper she never wanted to hold. The death certificate. Seat number 2 must not stay empty, she told herself. She washed her face with cold water, didn't comb her hair, didn't iron her dress. She walked when her legs failed. She ran. At the office gate, the guard frowned at her clothes and nearly stopped her, but grief pushed her voice out strong. "Please," she begged. "It's for my mother. Her name is Juliana Benson." The guard looked into her eyes, stepped aside, and waved her through. Back in the hall, Kingsley approached her slowly. "Come, my child," he said softly. "Sit here." He pulled out the waiting chair, but Elliana didn't sit. "Sir, I came to beg," she said, scanning the room. "My father died when I was little. My mother raised me alone. She promised to send me to university if she got this job. Please, if you can't give her the job anymore, give me anything, cleaning anything. I'll save and study medicine. I want to help people like her." Tears slid down the chairman's face. Kingsley looked at Elliana's rough hands shaped by hardship, but holding a dream far bigger than the room. "Elliana," he said firmly, "from today, you are my daughter." A murmur swept the hall. "You will not be a cleaner. You will study medicine. Kingsley will sponsor you. Your mother will be honored." Elliana collapsed to her knees, sobbing. "Thank you, sir. Thank you." Kingsley lifted her up and held her like a father who had just found his child. "You're safe now," he whispered. That evening, the sky over Lagos burned gold and pink. Kingsley's mansion glowed with warm light. As they entered, a tall woman descended the stairs, elegant, composed. "Welcome," she said smoothly. "I'm Evelyn, Kingsley's wife." Her eyes lingered on Elliana's dress, her hair, her quiet confidence. "So this is the daughter you brought home today," she said. "Yes," Kingsley replied calmly. Evelyn smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "She's young, beautiful, and grateful. Be careful, that's how it starts." Evelyn bit her lip. "But she's just a child." "Child or not," Monica cut in smoothly. "Act before she takes everything from you." Evelyn's fingers tightened round her phone. "What should I do?" "Start by watching her," Monica replied calmly. "Trust no one. Even angels can hide sharp intentions." The call ended. Evelyn stared at her reflection in the glass. Her flawless makeup could not hide the jealousy forming like a dark shadow in her eyes. Weeks passed. Elliana grew more confident. She began short online courses, preparing for university life. At Kingsley, staff adored her humility. She helped cleaners arrange flowers and carried files for secretaries, even when told she didn't have to. One morning, a cleaner smiled at her. God bless you, my dear. You're not like the rich people here. Elliana smiled softly. I'm not rich. I'm just lucky someone believed in me. Evelyn overheard the words. They twisted something deep in her chest. That evening at dinner, Kingsley beamed. The board approved Eliana's scholarship. She resumes in 2 weeks. Evelyn froze mid. 2 weeks, she echoed. How wonderful. Eliana looked at her nervously. I'll make you proud too, Ma, I promise. Evelyn forced a smile. Of course, dear. Kingsley squeezed his wife's hand. This girl will change lives one day. That night, Evelyn couldn't sleep. Every sound from Eliana's room irritated her, the laughter, the phone calls, the way Kingsley now asked more about Elliana than about Evelyn's charity plans. Near midnight, Evelyn opened her drawer and stared at a small silver bottle Monica had given her weeks earlier. No, she whispered. I'm not a killer. But the image of Kingsley laughing with Elliana returned. Fear hardened her heart. If I lose him, I lose everything. The next morning was Eliana's final day before traveling to school. Evelyn knocked gently on her door, smiling sweetly. I made you breakfast myself, she said, carrying a tray. A farewell meal. Eliana's face lit up. Thank you, Ma. She hugged Evelyn briefly and sat down to eat, unaware of the trembling hands behind the smile. Minutes later, pain seized her. She fell to the floor, weak and gasping. Help, Daddy, she whispered. Evelyn heard the sound from the hallway. She paused, then turned away. Kingsley arrived home early. As he stepped inside, he heard a faint cry. Daddy. His heart stopped. He rushed upstairs and found Elliana on the floor. Elliana, he shouted, lifting her. Sam, start the car. He ran past Evelyn without a word. At the hospital, doctors worked urgently. Kingsley waited outside, shaken and praying. She's stable, a nurse finally said, but we must operate immediately. Do whatever it takes, Kingsley replied. Save her. Hours later, the surgeon emerged. She survived, he said quietly. But there's permanent damage. Kingsley broke down. Turning to Evelyn, his voice was cold. I want the house security footage. Every camera. Evelyn stiffened. The next day, Kingsley watched the footage in silence. It showed Evelyn alone in the kitchen, carefully pouring something into Eliana's meal. His world shattered. She poisoned my daughter, he whispered. Should we call the police? Security asked. Yes. Only 3 weeks had passed since the incident. Eliana's body had healed, but her heart was still learning how to beat without fear. The courtroom felt suffocating as the elderly judge entered, his calm eyes sharp with authority. Court is now in session. Everyone rose. When the judge took his seat, the prosecutor stood. My lord, this is a case of attempted murder involving the poisoning of Miss Elliana Adam, an orphan under the guardianship of her adoptive father, Mr. Kingsley Anderson. The accused is Mrs. Evelyn Anderson. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. Evelyn swallowed hard. The evidence is clear, the prosecutor continued. Security footage from the Anderson residence shows the defendant preparing a meal for the victim on the day before her departure for university. He raised a still image from the footage. Evelyn stood in the kitchen, holding a silver bottle, her face half-lit by the overhead light. Gasps filled the room. Evelyn's lawyer leaped to his feet. Objection, my lord. This image proves nothing about intent. My client was emotionally unstable and manipulated. Overruled, the judge said calmly. Proceed. The prosecutor turned. Miss Adam, please step forward. Elliana rose slowly. Her legs trembled as she walked to the witness stand, each step heavy with memory. State your name. Elliana Adam, she said softly. Tell the court what happened that day. She took a shaky breath. It was the day before I was to leave for school. Mummy Evelyn brought food to my room. She said she cooked it herself. Evelyn lowered her head, tears falling silently. I ate a little. Then I became very sick. I couldn't breathe. I collapsed. I thought I was dying. The courtroom fell silent. When you woke up in the hospital, the prosecutor asked gently, what were you told? Her voice broke. They said the food was poisoned, and that I could never have children. A collective gasp echoed through the room. Kingsley dropped his head into his hands. The judge nodded gravely. My client wishes to speak, Evelyn's lawyer said. Evelyn stood, shaking. I was jealous, she cried. I was afraid. I thought she would replace me. I never meant to kill her. I only wanted my husband back. She fell to her knees. Please forgive me. The judge's voice was firm. Jealousy is not a crime. Attempted murder is. The gavel struck. 20 years. As officers led Evelyn away, she screamed Kingsley's name. I loved you, he said quietly. But love does not destroy what it fears. Elliana watched in silence, her heart aching not with hatred, but pity. Years passed. Life moved on, though scars remained. Elliana returned to school, studied relentlessly, and later became a doctor. She volunteered at hospitals, helped strangers, and healed others even as she carried her own loss quietly. One rainy evening, 5 years later, a call came from the prison. A former inmate critically ill was being transferred. The name stopped Elliana cold. Evelyn Anderson. At the hospital, Elliana took charge. She worked through the night, focused and steady. By morning, Evelyn's condition stabilized. When Evelyn awoke and recognized her, shame filled her eyes. "Why did you save me?" she whispered. Elliana answered softly, "Because healing is who I am, and forgiveness is how I stay free." Tears streamed down Evelyn's face. Later, Kingsley entered the room. Time had aged him, but not his heart. "I'm not here to punish you," he said. "I'm here because my daughter asked me to be." "Yes, Daddy," Kingsley said softly as he handed her the envelope. "It came this morning from the University of Geneva." Elliana tore it open, her heart racing, her breath caught. "Daddy." Her voice shook as her eyes scanned the letter. "They accepted me. A research fellowship in advanced medicine." Kingsley's eyes filled with tears. He pulled her into a gentle embrace. "You've made your mother proud, my child." Nearby, Evelyn sat quietly in her wheelchair. She looked up, her lips trembling into a small, sincere smile. "And you've taught me what love truly means." Elliana knelt beside her, holding her hands. "Mummy, you're part of this miracle too. You gave me a lesson no school could ever teach." Evelyn wept softly. "I wish I could turn back time." Elliana shook her head gently. "No. If you did, maybe I'd never have learned how powerful forgiveness can be." A year later, the Anderson home came alive again, not with tears or tension, but laughter. On a bright Sunday morning, the family gathered in the garden. Elliana had returned from Switzerland after completing her fellowship. She now led the Juliana Hope Initiative, a foundation named after her late mother, providing scholarships for orphans who dreamed of becoming doctors. Children ran across the lawn in white t-shirts bearing the foundation's logo, their laughter filling the air. Evelyn sat beneath a mango tree, her hair silver now, her face peaceful. Kingsley sat beside her, his hand resting over hers. When Elliana walked toward them, the children cheered. "Dr. Elliana, Dr. Elliana." She laughed, her heart full, and sat beside Evelyn. "You see, Mummy, love always finds its way home." Evelyn smiled faintly. "You were the child I never deserved, but God gave you to me anyway." Just then, a little girl ran up, holding 2 identical dolls. "Doctor, you forgot to name them." Elliana knelt. "What are their names?" "Miracle and Mirabelle." Elliana laughed softly as the children clapped, unaware of the deep meaning behind those names, the very names she once dreamed of giving her own daughters. Kingsley watched her with pride. Evelyn closed her eyes, smiling as a tear slipped down her cheek. That night, as rain fell over Lagos, it washed away more than dust and streets. It washed away years of pain, guilt, and unforgiveness. Life grew quiet and kind. Elliana continued her work at Lagos University Teaching Hospital, her compassion making her beloved among patients. Her story spread across Nigeria, the orphan who forgave, the healer who rose from tragedy. Yet even miracles feel lonely sometimes. One evening, after a long shift, Elliana stood by the hospital window, watching city lights shimmer like stars. A quiet ache settled in her chest. "Some miracles," she whispered, "take longer to arrive." She didn't know that her next miracle was already on its way. It happened on a humid afternoon. A man in a navy blue shirt and safety helmet walked into the hospital lobby. His name tag read, Jerry Okonkwo, Chemical Engineer, Petrolos International. "I'm looking for Dr. Elliana Anderson," he said nervously. "My company was told she's the best for emergency training." The nurse smiled. "You're lucky. She's on break." Jerry turned and saw her by the coffee stand, calm, gentle, radiant. "Excuse me, doctor," he said. "I'm Jerry." She smiled. "Nice to meet you. How can I help?" That was how it began. Friendship grew from shared coffee, safety manuals, and quiet conversations. Jerry never treated her like a tragic story. To him, she was simply Elliana, woman who carried light in her eyes. Weeks became months. One evening, as the sun dipped over the third mainland bridge, Jerry said softly, "You've healed so many people. Isn't it time someone healed you too?" Her heart trembled. I don't know if I can give you a family. He took her hands gently. I'm not marrying you for children. I'm marrying you because you're my miracle. 6 months later, they were married. The wedding day bloomed with joy. Elliana walked down the aisle in a white lace gown, Kingsley beside her in a silver-embroidered agbada. My daughter, he whispered, voice breaking. You'll always be my miracle. You gave me life. Daddy, she replied. Now I'll live it. When Kingsley placed her hand in Jerry's, he said, take care of her. She's heaven's gift. I will, Jerry promised. Evelyn watched from the front row, tears streaming. Thank you, Lord, she whispered, for giving her the happiness I once tried to take away.